My name is Dorinda Wegener. I'm here today to talk to you how to during our time together here in the meeting. I'll be talking about how you put together a literary packet. So whether you're at the very, very, very beginning, looking to send out your first poem, your first essay, or if you have a manuscript, I'm going to briefly talk about organizational tips on that, and then how you go about submitting your manuscript. And then during the workshop, we're going to be talking about publicity. And I do want to make a note here that publicity is not marketing. Marketing is a long-term relationship that you build around yourself, which is a brand, and it deals with sales. It deals with how you represent yourself to the community to get the book sold. Publicity is what you do right now. So marketing is long-term. Publicity is short-term. How do you build a publication packet? What do you put in a publication packet? How do I do my abstract? How do I do my elevator pitch? How do I get the interview, the review, the podcast? So it's how you present yourself to the community that marketing is going to scoop up and run with. So publicity is short term, marketing is long term, and publicity is under the marketing umbrella. So we're going to talk about that during the workshop. We're going to make our abstracts, we're going to practice our live pitches. And I had the pleasure of working with Poets and Writers magazine. I don't know how they accepted me, God bless, but they took me in and I was part of their publicity incubator. So I learned the ins and outs from marketers and publicists at Poets and Writers on what you can do as an author to get your stuff out. Now, my expertise is poetry. Poetry falls under the umbrella of essays, memoir, short fiction, creative nonfiction. Fiction and novel writers do have a different track. I can speak to it on a generalization. I cannot give you expert tips on novels, but that is okay because you're part of a brilliant group who is going to give you expert tips on novel writing. So that's who I am. That's the difference between marketing and publishing and publicity, excuse me. And if you stick around, that's what we're going to do in the workshop. We're going to get down and we're going to bang out an abstract and we're going to practice. So all right, we can head to the next slide. I do apologize, I'm neurodivergent. I have a tendency to get a little nervous, so I may shake. So just bear with the voice if that's okay. All right, so this is what we're going to talk about today. We're going to do submitting work for publication. We're going to do organizing a book manuscript. We're going to talk about submitting your book for publication. And then the most exciting part, what to do after acceptance. And of course, you can't have acceptance without rejection. So we're going to spend maybe 10 seconds talking about that. No one wants to talk about that. All right, so we can move on to the next one. Here we are. So I have a couple of favorite quotes that I like to follow. Because I'm a poet, I adore Gertrude Stein, and she says, to write is to write, is to write, is to write, is to write, and that is her quote, ... I also love science fiction. And so Robert Heinlein here, he came out with the 5 steps that you need to take as a writer. The first thing you must do is you must write. Second, you must finish what you write. Third, you must refrain from rewriting except to editorial order. This does not mean do not revise. You must revise. But do not revise yourself into a hole where you never send it out. Because number 4 is you must place it on the market. We are artists. We create for ourselves, but there's also a little inkling that we want to share what we have created. So put it out on the market. And 5th, keep it on the market until it's picked up, whether it's picked up by a press or whether you say, you know what, I want to do it. And you make yourself a press and you get your book out. So either way. So that's just things I like. Yeah. And if we can go back a slide, can we go back? See, here comes the ADHD guys looping. We're not going to be going linear. We're going to be going back and forth. So number 1, submitting work for publication. And number 3, submitting your book for publication. They are going to overlap. The steps are pretty much the same. Okay, thank you. Now we can jump to slide 4. All right, so submitting work. These are the basic steps. You need to write. You need to research. You need to query and you need to ask questions. You need to prepare. You need to track. You need to get things accepted, and you need to learn what rejection can teach you. So let's talk about some of those. And let's see where we are. So, number one, writing. That's easy. We all do it. We all do it. Some of us do it diligently. Some of us could be a little more, myself included, accountable, but we do it. Research is important. You have many tools as a person to research. You have poets and writers. They have a wonderful, wonderful website of places to submit to. You have your own Southwest Writers newsletter. I get it. I see the material that this group offers you to research and to find places to publish. Other things that you can do, if you're a poet, you can use Duotrope. If you can buy yourself the Best of Poetry anthology. It comes out every year. Buy that. If you're a fiction writer, buy, the Best of Fiction if they have one. I know they have one for essays. I know they have one for creative nonfiction, but buy it and look in the back. See where those things were published. If your writing aligns and is similar, that book is only about a year out and the tail of publication is long. So if you write like somebody that you see in the best of, use them as a mentor. Be like, okay, they got accepted here. Let me try. So do your research. It's not fun, but it will definitely help you to land. Don't be afraid to go for the slick mags. Well, what are slick mags? Slick mags are the mags you see in the airport. Don't be afraid to try the New Yorker. Don't be afraid to try, the Yale Review and the real big journals. Give it a shot. The worst they're going to say is no, and no just means not right now. That's all a no means. A no does not mean no. A no just means not right now. But we'll talk about that in a little bit. Other things that I want to talk about when we're on this slide is networking. If somebody says to you, I am starting this journal, or I have an anthology and I would love for you to be a part of it, leave your ego at the door. There's no room for the ego when you're a writer. Okay, there's no room for it. Leave it at the door. If you know the person is going to turn out a beautiful artifact, you say yes and you get yourself out there. Okay, so always, use your networking, use your friends, not use as in I'm going to take advantage of you. But if they say, hey, I'm doing this, believe in the project because it is all about community. So I wanted to mention that. Let's see what else we have. Query letters. So when you're a poet, you don't really need to worry about a query letter unless you're shooting for something really, really big. But query letters are important for creative nonfiction writers and for fiction writers. A query letter needs to be one page. It needs to be one page. It needs to be concise, and it needs to be direct. The very first line of your query letter should be the why. Why are you querying in Copper Canyon? What have they done that has impressed you enough that you want to be part of their family? So the first thing is, hey, I saw you do this project. It really resonated with me. I saw you did this project. Also, the first or the second line should be why you have something to say about it. So I have ADHD. I'm a nurse. Those two things don't really go together, but they do. So when I'm querying a medical journal, I would say I am a peri-anesthesia certified registered nurse, and I also am neurodivergent. I am first person accountable. I am the relative expert. So with JAMA, I'm going to say, obviously, you guys are the best of the best. I'd love to be part of your family. I can bring to the table this. So that's a query. You make it concise. You link yourself to why you should be there, and then you validate, or you, what's the word when you're in grad school and you have to defend your thesis? What's that word? Oh, there's a word for it.
Dissertation.
Yeah, your dissertation, and then you have to prove it. Yeah. So you're saying why you belong in the house, their family, and then you're proving why. So, all right, now we're going to go into prepare your cover letter. Now, the cover letter is not the query. The query is for big projects. The cover letter is for your submission packet. The cover letter is much shorter. You're only looking at 3 to 5 sentences. The cover letter nowadays is usually done online. And again, the first line is, boom, I like your journal. I saw you publish so-and-so. I really liked them. I happened to study with them. I think that I'm a good fit for your journal because I align with your mission statement, blah, blah, blah. And then you say what you are submitting. I am submitting 3 to 4 poems for your review for publication. You say thank you and you get out. Okay. So you definitely want to say why you're submitting, and then what you're submitting. So proofread is very important. Proofreading is like, it's so easy to change, the lady was saying, from to form. It's so easy. It's so easy. You stare at your writing so often, again and again and again. And I know what I'm writing, so I scan right over it. So ask your friend, bring it to one of these meetings and say after the meetings, hey, Joe, do you have a minute to look this over make sure I'm not missing any spelling errors? So please proofread. If you do make a mistake, it's not the end of the world. I have sent in publications with the wrong word, like there. And God bless the editor has written back to me and they're like, okay, did you mean this? And I'm like, oh no. So it's not the end of the world. If they like your work, they're going to reach out, but let's not go there. Let's just have that be the 1 in 50. Like, oh God, I don't believe I messed up. Copyright. You don't need to do it for poetry. You do not need to do it for poetry. It actually causes more of a hassle if you do send something off with a little copyright symbol. Please, submitting poetry. I don't know how it works in the fiction world, so I'll leave that to the experts here in the room, but you do not need to copyright your work before you send it out. You don't. Just keep all your original drafts. If God forbid something were to happen, you have proof. You have your date what you create, keep your files. Okay. So you don't need to copyright when you send out. How much to send? The norm is 3 to 5 poems, but this is where guidelines come in. And we're all John Waynes. We all love to shoot from the hip. Please, I beg you, follow the guidelines. So not only am I a nurse, I worked with a press for a good 5 to 10 years, and I beg you, follow the guidelines. We're not out here making up this stuff. We're really not. We do it for a reason. And I'll get to that when we talk manuscripts. If the guidelines do not tell you what to send, you want to say 3 to 5 poems. You want to say between 5 and 8 pages. Okay. And guess what? This is a great way to get yourself on their radar. If they don't say, reach out to the marketing editor. Reach out to the managing editor. Say, hey, I'm really excited about your project, but I noticed on your guidelines, right there, you're going to be like a winner. I noticed on your guidelines, it doesn't say what I should submit. I want to make sure I'm doing right by you. What should I do? Your name's already going to be on their radar. So, yeah. And we're going to talk about being John Wayne in a little bit, but not here. When it comes to guidelines, we got to follow them. Number 3, tracking systems. I'm old school. I'm Gen X through and through. I went to undergrad without the internet. I had to go to the library and use an encyclopedia. Grad school, we did have the internet by then. You should see us. Like Gen Xers were like, oh God. So my tracking system is analog, pen and paper. I write down who I sent it to, who the editor is that I put on my cover letter, because we're not going to be putting dear editor or dear judges. No. We're going to do our homework. We are going to research. We're going to find out the editor's name, the assistant editor's name, the reader's name. If they don't list their readers, you're going to put so-and-so, comma, and readers. Okay. Anyone who is involved, who may touch your packet, you want to acknowledge. So right now, I'm going to throw out my acknowledgments. I want to thank Judy. She's having me here. I want to thank Kim, who's going to be your president soon. I want to thank Jacqueline. Jacqueline, I have known Jacqueline for over 30, 40 years. I've known her since I couldn't even drink. I couldn't even drink when I knew Jacqueline. So thank you. Thank you for believing in me. I want to thank Riva. She's been putting up with how nervous I've been all morning. So always list who you're talking to and be grateful. So that's tracking systems. If you want to use an online tracking system, you got Submittable, you got Duotrope. There's multiple ways. You can make your own Excel spreadsheet. But again, going back to it, you want to say the date you sent it, who you sent it to, the name of the magazine, what you sent, and what their response time is going to be. And that's what you want to track. Now we're going to talk about John Wayne. We're going to talk about playing the game. Simultaneous submissions. Here we go. Most places nowadays, because there's more authors than there are places to publish, most of them say simultaneous submissions or multiple submissions or SS, they're fine. They're fine. But if you get the journal who doesn't play the game, but you do not want to wait, 9 months to a year, you can have a child in the time it takes to hear back from some journals. Like you can produce lights and you're still waiting. You're like, If you have that personality, you got to ask yourself, is this you? So if you have that personality, if you are okay for the fallout that could occur, then you play the game. So say you have someone that takes 9 months to respond. You give them the leeway. You start with them. You send out your packet to them and you wait. And at around maybe the 7th month, you send out that packet to a blast of other journals that do simultaneous submissions that will not get back to you until 3 or 4 months. So you are guaranteed that you are going to hear back from the no SS, the no simultaneous submission journal beforehand. And you need to be prepared for the fallout if you get busted. I have a wonderful poetry friend. I'm dating myself, but Hotel America used to be an amazing publication for poetry. They did not take simultaneous submissions. She played the game. She got her entire packet picked up by Hotel America, her entire packet. All 3 to 5 poems were going in. And she had to write back and be like, well, yeah, 4 of them are still available, but this one isn't. And I'm serious. When we say guidelines, we mean guidelines. The editor was like, I'm sorry. No. And she lost her whole packet to Hotel America. So if you are going to play the game, be prepared. It has to be your personality type, and you have to be willing to accept what's going to happen. Here's a real nightmare story. I have another friend. She's a science fiction writer. Brilliant. Her first novel, her very first novel. We're not talking after, we're talking her first novel got picked up by Tor. Okay. Now, if you know anything about science fiction, maybe I'm old and I'm out of date, but I still know that Tor is where, hello. She didn't follow the guidelines. It came back to haunt her. She was truthful after the fact. Tor said no. They pulled the contract. She lost a Tor contract. So if you're going to play the game, you have to ask yourself, are you willing for the fallout? With that said, I have played the game. Because I've had a daughter in shorter periods of time, but I make sure that I play the game wisely. And I know that if they say don't do it, I take care of them first. And then I do a little Slytherin on the end. So that's playing the game. Acceptance is awesome. Amen. If you do creative nonfiction, you are so lucky. If you do fiction, you're so lucky you're going to get paid. Poetry, you're going to get a copy of the journal and you are going to be excited by that. God damn, I got this. This is what I got. So payment, make sure that you know what you're getting into. Some people in the beginning some people only submit to paying gigs, and that's awesome. I did not start that way. I started with non-paying gigs to journals that were reputable. I can't say that word. In good standing, reputation, but add the able on the end of it. So contracts and rights. Again, this is so different for people who have books. When it comes to poetry, rights usually are first North American, and they usually revert back to you once your book is published. Make sure you know your rights. If they take the whole kit and caboodle, that's a little scary. Just know your contract. This is where you get a lawyer. This is where you come here. And this is for like a book. You don't really need a contract. A contract for a published piece in a journal is going to usually be, let us publish it first, give us credit. We may put it in an anthology. We'll let you know. But for like the big projects, come here to SouthWest Writers and say, who do you know who is a contract lawyer who can quickly scan this for me? Because it is important. This is where copyright kicks in. This is where you do want to protect your work. You made the artifact. Editorial changes, I say go with them. I say go with them. If you're accepted to the New Yorker and the editor says, I don't like this word, let's make it this word, fantastic. Fantastic. You make it that word, because at the end of the day, the artifact is still yours. And when you're doing your presentation and when you're doing your reading, you can read it the way you want it read. Okay. But if the New Yorker says, let's change this word, pick the hill you want to die on. I'm not saying sell yourself short, but I am saying, that sounds great. I like that word better. Yes. So editorial changes. Also be ready to wear your boxing gloves. When I was doing the editorial process on 4 Fields, I don't think I even showed you guys. This is my book. This is my copy, so it's really beat up. But this is 4 Fields. There was a poem in here that one of the editors really wanted to change. If I made those changes, it would change not only the poem, but the poem section and the arc. And substantiation, that's the word. When you're doing your thesis, you have to substantiate it. Well, guess what? When it comes time to talk about your art, be ready to substantiate everything. And I went to task. Every other edit I was cool with. Yep, let's do it. Yep, let's do it. When it came time for that one specific edit, I was like, no, and this is why. And I substantiated my reasons. And the editor wrote back and said, holy smokes, I didn't see it. That's awesome. So don't always, do put your boxing gloves on. If you know why you have written something, stand by it. Okay. Now, if I went through my dissertation and my substantiation and they still said, all right, fine. I know myself. I know my personality. I would rather have the artifact and read the poem the way I want it read. Luckily, I didn't have to do that. But again, that's up to you. You know yourself. So put that there. What else do we have up there? Okay, the short bio. This is very important. 250 words. 250 words. You have a short bio. You have your short bio. My bio is, I'm Dorinda Wegener. I was accepted into the 2024 Poets and Writers Poetry Publicity Incubator. I'm a peri-anesthesia certified registered nurse. My book came out in July 2024. 250 words is your short bio. Make sure you like your short bio, because it's going to be your bio. Okay. This is where marketing becomes very important. Your bio is your bio is your bio. Now, you are going to have more than one bio. You're going to have your long bio. And when I say long, you got 3 to 4 paragraphs to play with. That goes on your website underneath your short bio. Okay. Your other bio, which is what you read on the back of the book, is what you would probably use for submissions. Hey, this is my name. This is who's already picked me up. Look at, I'm good. These people, they think I'm good. So I think you should think I'm good. So yeah. So you're going to have more than one bio. The bio you use to represent yourself is your short bio, 250 words, third person. Wegener did this. She lives here. So that's your short bio. Author photo, you better like it. And we're not talking a selfie. Okay. You come back to SouthWest Writers, you say, hey, who do you know that does photos? Whether that's nature photos, whether that's people photos, who do you know who actually is a photographer? And get your photo and make sure you like it, because that photo is going to be on the back of your book. It's going to be on the first page of your website. It's going to be your little icon on Instagram. It's going to be your Facebook profile picture. If you are on Twitter, God help you, it's going to be your Twitter icon. So across the board, you better like your picture, because that's going to be every publicity piece of paper you send out, that picture is going to be there. So like your picture. And then proofs. Proofs are awesome. You are going to get them at every level. So whether you just submit one poem for publication or you submit a whole book, you're going to get proofs. They're going to be your best friend. You're going to read your proof. You are going to give it to 2 other people. 2 other people. They're going to read the book. They're all going to make their suggestions. When I say suggestions, I mean grammar and spelling. They're not rewriting. They're grammar and spelling on your proof. And then when you get that back after your 2 friends, you're going to do it again. 4 sets of eyes. Yours, 2 others, and then yours again. And then rejection. What can you learn from rejection? A really tough skin. A really tough skin. Hold on, I got to check my time to make sure that we're still good. Yeah, we're good. Awesome. Okay. Rejection. What can it teach you? This is so important. Rejections are almost as exciting as acceptances. You get a rejection slip that says, thank you so much. We enjoyed it. We'd like to see something else. Don't throw that out, man. You write that on your tracking. You write that and you read the guidelines. Say you can't submit again for 6 months because it's written on the guidelines. And what are we going to do? We're going to follow the guidelines. So say you can't submit again for 6 months, but guess what? 6 months and 1 day, boom. You got a packet. We go back to the cover letter. Your first sentence on the cover letter is, so-and-so, thank you so much for your kind invitation to resubmit. You name the name. You say, thank you for letting me resubmit. And then you go for it. I hope that you find something that aligns out of this packet. Here's 3 to 4 new pieces, yada, 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 off it goes. Okay. And think of it. I'm a nurse. I am never going to ask for more patients. I'm never going to go up to my charge and say, I only have 4 patients. You think I could have 5? No, I'm not going to do that. No editor in their right mind is going to ask for more work. They're already overworked and underpaid. So if an editor says to you, send stuff, act, you do it. If your friend says, I'm doing a journal, and you believe in your friend, ditch your ego, support your friend, do it. Okay. So just rejections are amazing. And they also sometimes don't always suck. Way back in the day, because I'm older than dirt, I submitted to poetry when Chris Wyman was the editor. Don Cher was there, and there was a third guy. There was a trifecta, and I feel bad. I can't remember. But in order to get into poetry, you had to have all 3. I had 2 out of 3. Chris Wyman, again, I'm older than dirt. This is when we still had paper. He took the time to write, you were really close with this poem. You got 2 out of 3 editors. So did I get rejected? Yeah. Did I feel amazing? Yeah. So there's lots to learn. First thing to learn is it's not personal. Okay. I know that's hard because it's your baby, but a no just means not now. And it's not about you. If you read a love poem and that editor broke up that morning, they're going to be like, so just, you can learn. And then I beg you, do not, and I have done this. You can ask my friends, I have done this. I have become hurt, and because I'm introverted and because I'm neurodivergent, I go into my shell and I'm like, oh, whoa. And I don't send something out. So I lose my own time. Don't do that. If you get a rejection, you say, all right, right on. Next one up, put it in the, virtual envelope because we don't have envelopes anymore. And you send it out because nothing stinks more than a pile of unpublished writing. Sylvia Plath. Okay. Believe in yourself, get it out. All right. So that's how you submit work. Guess what? This is the same way you submit a poetry manuscript or any book. The steps are the same. Okay. All right, the nuts and bolts. So I am an expert in the fact of who I have studied with. Every single one of us in this room is an expert on something. So I may say something where you raise your hand and say, I heard this. If you know that the source that gave you that information is true, roll with it. I can only speak to what poets and writers taught me, what Jeffrey Levine taught me, what Ilya Kaminsky taught me, and what Alberto Rios taught me. Okay, so these are my people who have taught me things and their credentials. So you just don't think I'm up here just talking. Okay, that's it. Nuts and bolts time. All right, the nuts and bolts. Font and font size. I'm serious, guys. Times New Roman 12, especially if you're turning in something that is written. If you're doing it online, okay, you want to look for something, unless they tell you in the what? Thank you. Unless they tell you in the guidelines, you want to use a sans serif. So Courier, you don't want the serifs on the screen. It hurts our eyes. And please, I beg you, 12 or more. Okay. Font size 12. Don't go cuckoo. We don't want anything in size 23, but 12, stuff like that. I love Palo. It's a font.
Palatino linotype.
Thank you. It is gorgeous because it naturally is big. It's easy to read at size 12. So unless the guidelines say specific, you want to think Times New Roman, Courier, and then the Palo one that I love. Debbie, what is it again, honey?
Palatino linotype.
That's it. And I'm sorry I called you honey. That's the nurse in me. I should have asked first. I apologize. Okay. So front piece, here we go. Front piece and trends. So do you put a poem all by itself way at the front of your manuscript called a proem? You know, is it prose? Is it poetry? Is it in the front? Is it part of the book? That's up to you. It's terrifying. You want me to tell you exactly what to do. I cannot. Trends, my book, I had a poem and they said, oh no, this is poem number 6. So, okay, it's poem number 6. And then now I'm reading, my friend Mateo's book just came out from Alice James. I'm reading his. He's got one. But if you are going to do a piece separate from the arc of your book, that piece better be damn good. And we're not talking good because the New Yorker said it's good. It better be good. Because that piece is holding the atlas. The entire weight of your manuscript is now resting on that first poem outside of the book. So it better tell you exactly what you are going to experience in the book, just so you know. And again, trends. Oh, trends are tough because you don't know. You don't know. I've had mentors tell me two sections. 3 at the max. Mateo's book has 6 sections. I've been told no front poem. I've seen books come out this year with front poems. My book, they said, no, this poem's better served in the manuscript. Trends. The only way you're going to know your trends is reading. I beg you, read everything in your genre. Read, read, read. And when you read and you see that book that you're holding, understand that that book was accepted 1 to 2 years ago. Okay? All right, so trends are next to impossible. They change like the wind. Page count for poetry. Anything over 48 is considered a book. If you're under 48, you're not a book, you're a chap. And when I say a page, I mean an 8 by 12 piece of poetry. Pages do not count the front and back matter. They do not count the table of contents. They do not count your epigraphs, your dedication, none of that. Okay. Usually your page count is going to be between 48 and 64. Again, guess what's going to tell you the page count? Guidelines. So my book was, this one before front and back matter was 64 pages of poetry only, 64 pages of poems. I was fortunate that every poem I included was accepted because you will go through the process and they'll say, this one is not, it's not supposed to be here. And that one might be the one that the New Yorker picked up and now your editor is saying it doesn't belong in the book. You listen to that, it may not. I have a gorgeous poem accepted by Salamander. I adore Salamander Journal, adore it. Is it in the book? No. So now I have things in here. I can't say I was in Salamander. It's not in the book. It didn't fit. And that's okay. And anyway, the whole point of the story is my book ended up being 96 pages after you put all the other stuff in it. So there you go. All right, cover letter. Yes, you need it. Unless the guidelines tell you no, you need the cover letter. And when you are sending out a cover letter for a book, it's much longer than the cover letter for a simple packet. 1 page, 1 page. Cover letter is going to include why you want to be in their house, why you want to be there. The second part is going to be what deserves you to be there, what gets you in the door. And then you're going to talk about the manuscript. And you're not going to go on and on and on because nobody wants. It's like me. No one wants me going on right now, but guess what? You stuck with me. I'm going on. You know, so use your abstract. Use your abstract. When are we going to make our abstracts? In the workshop. So use your abstract. Okay. Abstracts are concise, colloquial language that gets your point across. If something, Copper Canyon, my dream press. Oh my God, I love them. I have the best rejection letter from them. I took the time, I made a cover letter, I got my rejection back. It kicked me back into that hole of, you know, woe is me, but that's all right. That's all right. They talked about individual poems in their rejection letter to me. They talked about how within a year's time I would be published, and they are sad that it couldn't be them. And I was like, yeah, me too. But I didn't fit what they were doing at the moment enough, and that's okay. They took the time to read it. And they took the time to read it because I played by the rules. I followed the guidelines. I invited myself to their house for tea. Okay, so make sure that you do that cover letter. Don't need to put in your dedications or gratitudes. There will be plenty of time for that. Okay, your manuscript consists of table of contents, your manuscript, your acknowledgement page. That's what it consists of, unless the guidelines tell you otherwise. I'm going to sound like a broken record. I'm sorry, guys. But if you submit to a contest and they say, don't put your name on it and your stinking name is on there, that reader, that first person who's going through the slush pile, you're never going to see a reader. You're never going to see an editor. You're going to be out. Okay. So, all right. Epigraphs. Again, we're going to talk about trends and front piece. Do you need an epigraph? Only if it is an excellent road sign for your reader, for your book. You, as the creator of the artifact, is done. You now need to start thinking about your manuscript as something that I, as a reader, am going to consume. It's no longer yours. It's now mine. And what I do with it is what I do with it. You need to be mentally ready for that. If the epigraph tells me where I'm going and what I need to know, fantastic. Do it. If it's there just because you happen to like the quote, And think about it. Do you really want to follow Rilke? Do you really want to follow something Elizabeth Bishop said? I'm not saying that you're not as awesome, but just be, think about it. Think about it. Talk to your editor about it, the nuts and bolts. And again, you don't need any of that. Again, your cover letter, your table of contents, your manuscript, your acknowledgements, follow the guidelines. Fundamental beginning poems. Might find you have 10 pages. You have 5 to 10 pages. I don't care if you're writing an essay, if you're writing a novel, creative nonfiction, a book of poems, you have 5 to 10 pages. If you're not grabbed between 5 and 10 pages, they're not going to get to page 67. Okay. There are trends. Think about a reader. You may want to put some of your longer poems, if they're strong and if they work with the arc, at the beginning of your book. Because if you set out all nice little short poems, and then in the middle of the book, when the editor is kind of like, oh, purple dinosaurs, and you got all these long pieces, you're like, oh. But again, this is a trend, and this is something that can change. But it is something to consider. So you may want to, but you have 5 to 10 pages. And that's it. The arc. There are so many ways to make an arc. I have a handout that has 20 different ways to make an arc. I'm going to talk about some of them. We're not going to go through all 20. So grab the handout. But there are so many ways. And what is an arc? The arc is, what is this book saying? It's no longer what the poet, what the narrator is saying. What is this book doing? What is this book saying? So the arc. And these are questions that you ask yourself every day while you're writing, and just jot an answer in your journal. So you can flip back through your journal when it comes time to do your abstract. What is the book about? What is it doing? Why does the book exist? Okay. So title, always come up with at least 3 to 5 working titles. Your title, again, for poetry, I do apologize, but for poetry, a title could be the title of a poem in the manuscript that really sums it up. The title can be the poem that got kicked out of the book. Say the editor is like, no, this doesn't belong there, but you know that title. That could be the title of your book. It can be a title within one of the poems, a line in one of the poems. You want your title to be engaging. You want your title not to match what someone else is doing. So Google, we had an amazing manuscript come across our desk. It had the word alphabet in it. 5 other books were coming out that year with the word alphabet in the title. Are we going to do that title? No. And it hurts when someone comes back to you and says, change the name of your baby. Dorinda, who the hell picked that? Change your name. Change your name. So it hurts, but change the name. Okay. So always have multiple titles for your book. Sections we've already talked about. Use sections as a creative tool. We always get the term that artists. We're not. We're craftsmen. We are building the most gorgeous cabinet you have ever seen in your life. And this is how we're going to do it. We're going to do chevrons. We're going to have, like if you sew, we're doing French seams. Okay, so sections are a crafting tool. Use them wisely. Okay, so you can do it as my book has. Well, guess my book is called Four Fields. Guess how many sections I have? Yeah, yes, four. So, and they all have a specific field. They all have a specific chapbook, a specific tone. They push the whole story forward. So if when the time you're done, you're a farmer of words, not real farmer. Okay, abstract we've talked about, and we're going to do it in the workshop. Colloquial language, 5 to 8 college sentences, direct. The abstract is not your elevator pitch, but guess what? You write that abstract, and no matter what anybody asks you for, you're good to go because you've already done the groundwork. So your elevator pitch, which we will also practice, comes from your abstract. Front and back matter. That's your thank yous, that's your notes, that's anything front and back. That happens after acceptance. The only time that may be different is if there is a poem. My father was a veteran all his life. He was, I was a wicked surprise. Like my dad was in World War II. So that tells you how much of a wicked surprise I was to my mother. So my dad was in all the wars. And he was also on the DEW line. He was one of the pilots going into Alaska in Greenland when they were building the DEW line all across the top. And so I have a lot of jargon in that poem. And if you don't know the military lingo, the poem means nothing to you. So notes are important because guess what? The book is not yours, it's mine. And as a reader, I need to know what you're talking about. So it is okay to, and you can put that in. You can put that in, not so much for a manuscript, but if you are sending out that jargon-filled poem, it's okay at the end of your cover letter to say, oh, and by the way, just in case, this means this. Okay. So ready to go. You're ready to go. You're going to send it out. And whether you're sending out a book or whether you're sending out a packet, you are going to be ready to go. You get a rejection back. You have 2 days, my friends. 1 day to lick your wounds, the other day to drive yourself to your computer or the post box and get it out. Okay, 2 days. 2 days. Take your time, lick your wounds, and then get back out there. No means not right now. Okay, doesn't mean no. All right. Oh, let me check the time, because I want you guys to be able to ask questions. Yeah, we're good. Sweet. These are all the different ways you can organize a poetry manuscript. Holy moly. I'm not going to talk about all of them. I have a handout on the back. Okay. So grab the handout. These are all the different ways you can organize a memoir. You can organize some essays. This is not how you would organize fiction, but poetry. So let's see, which one did I do? I did the trip. You're going to start at point A. At the end of the book, you're going to be at point B. Okay, so I did the trip. I did slightly the old neighborhood. Geography is an excellent way to organize your poems. Okay, geography. So I did the trip. I did the old neighborhood. Let's see, what else did I do? My favorite one, because I'm language. First line, last line. So when you write an individual poem, that's pretty exciting. You're like, oh, wow, look, it stands on its own. You take 3 or 4 poems, you start rubbing them up against each other. That last line leading into the first line on the next page, the magic. I can get a whole nother level of meaning out of that. That's a whole nother poem right there. You want to talk about a killer couplet? Yeah. So that's how I organized mine. The trip, old neighborhood, last line, first line dialogue. And this is all simple, straightforward. It's in the handout. So that's how we did it. Okay, next. Guess what the theme is? I'm not hearing you. What is the theme? Thank you. Submitting your book. Where, when, why, and how. Where do you see yourself? Make your wish list. Like I still dream about being with Copper Canyon. And, I'm like a rash. I'm coming back. You can get a cream. You can rub it on your body. Guess what? I'm coming back. So Copper Canyon, my contract says first right of refusal, but I'll submit again to Copper Canyon in my future going forward. I will definitely stay with my press now, but if I do something different or something that my press isn't interested in, what the hell? Why not? Copper Canyon is like, that's my Olympic gold medal right there. So where you want to be. All different levels. Give yourself a bronze, give yourself a silver, give yourself a gold, give yourself a platinum. Make sure you want to be in their house. Okay. It's like a doctor. You have one doctor. You think they are fantastic. The doctor has 5,000 patients. Okay. The editor has 5,000 submissions. So you want to say where you want to be and then why, when. This is the guidelines. There's blind submissions and there's seasonal submissions. In poetry, the seasons are spring and fall. Summer is horrible for poetry. Nothing happens in the summertime. If you get a book accepted, you'll be editing during the summertime. So know your guidelines. Blind is when you query. Blind is when you really want to be someplace and you look and you don't see any submission guidelines. You find the managing editor and you send a query. You send a query. You say, man, I would really love to show you some stuff. What's the worst they're going to do? No answer or no. And a no means not right now. Okay. So blind and season. Why? Why are you doing what you're doing? This will open doors. I cannot tell you as an editor, when I tell you to leave your ego at the door, please do leave the ego at the door, but we're human. We all love to hear we're doing a good job. So when I was working for a press and I got a cover letter that said, I really like what you're doing. And then they were able to prove that they like it. They're not just saying it because they want in. They were able to prove with facts and substantiation, it just feels good. So always the why. It will open doors. Do not use humor. I don't care if you think you're the funniest person in the world. You do not know the humor section of the person reading your letter. Do not be flip. Do not be funny. And I hate to say that because we all love a good laugh, but what makes one person laugh is not going to make the other person laugh. So this is silly, but be nice, be polite, be direct. Ask for what you want. Don't be afraid to be assertive, which is different than aggressive. Okay. But be careful of humor. Be careful of humor. And then the how. And the how is the guidelines. Thank you. We're done. What's next? Here we go. My journey. My journey. This is embarrassing, guys. It took me 41 submissions to poetry presses, to contests, to blind queries to get my book accepted. 41. I am poor. There's a reading fee attached to most of those. 4 Fields went through 3 different titles in 3 different arcs. Okay. It took 7 years. It took 7 years. It took 7 years because I had a So don't do that. Don't be me. But if it takes 7 years, who the hell cares? Really? Who cares? Who cares? Your book's out, your artifacts out, your hard work is paid off, you're patting it on the head, you're sending it out in the world. I'm reading it, I'm being affected by it, I'm being changed by it. You're already back at your desk writing the next book. You're like, okay, that was fun. What are you going to do? To write is to write, to write, to write. So that's my journey. 4 Fields, 41 subs, 3 different titles, 7 years, a lot of swearing, a lot of wrinkles. Let me tell you, face cream, wonders. All right, let's see what we're doing on the time. What's the next slide? The next slide, I think, is the most important slide. No, it's not. All right, sorry, guys. One more slide. Final reflections and future steps. What do you do after your book is accepted? You party. You party because you have just begun the next level of the ladder. So you better party because, wow, you got a lot of work ahead of yourself. So celebrate, party. You're going to get that phone call. You're going to throw your phone. I didn't believe it. I threw my phone across the room. I was like, oh, hell no, you didn't say that. And then you're going to look at your contracts. You're going to gather your blurbs. You're going to talk about payment, your author questionnaire. You're going to get permissions. You're going to build your publicity packet. You're going to edit until you wish you were dead. You're going to think about your cover. You're going to release the cover. Okay, you may not get what you want. You have to trust your press, which is why when you sit down to say, where am I going to publish? You're going to pick someone you like. Okay, do not settle. You're going to do your author photo. You're going to learn how to do readings, reviews, interviews, and podcasts. Just so you know, I can speak freely to this trend. I can speak to this trend. Interviews are beginning to take over reviews. Okay. But that doesn't say you need your reviews. You need your reviews. If you want a sale, you better have a review. But people are very curious right now about the person behind the book. So interviews right now in the market as we speak are just as important. Reviews aren't going anywhere. Make sure you get them too. But don't shy away from interviews or podcasts. You're going to learn how to sign a book and you're going to learn how to say thank you. because at the end of the day, it comes down to graciousness. Like when you submit and when you make a mistake, and I've made mistakes and I have fallen down, just say thank you and just be truthful. And I know it sounds strange to say be truthful when we did talk a little bit about John Wayne, but still just make it fit to who you are. So I have trouble with that. Like I have trouble, how can I say that? That came out wrong. I don't like playing the game. I would rather be truthful, but I'm also not going to sit around and wait forever. So yeah, but say thank you. And that's the next slide. There we go. That's the most important slide right there. Thank you very much. I know I talked nonstop. Thank you guys. I can't tell you how much I appreciate your attention and your kindness to have me here. And I hope I gave you something. I hope as a nurse and me, I hope that I gave you something to go home with. One little thing.